I'm Jeff Krueger. I am an artist. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Early on, I did a lot of installation work with sort of complex narrative component parts, sometimes some performative element. And in the last 10 or more years, it's more object-driven and less involving installation just due to opportunity more than anything. I have a long history integrating design into my work. I had a furniture business in the 80s in Albuquerque and have used design as component parts to my work as well, both wood and ceramic and sometimes steel. So the work I make is kind of a diverse set of works. There's sort of a general theme that is sort of a catch-all for my projects, which has to do with research or a way to finding a way to render notions of fecundity, particularly human fecundity. And that's a rather oblique term which I use to think about a whole range of topics from human sexuality to human economy to our spirituality, and how all of these things revolve around, a potentiality to impact consciousness and behavior. And so I'm, in a way, trying to develop a language of how to render this complex term. And so this form is very much rooted in a 20th century dialogue on, the nature of biomorphic structure. I mean, I think the first person I can think of is John Arp. But there's many others throughout 20th century and early 21st century that people that deal with this language. Yeah, the Morse code work was kind of an offshoot of a project. I did a work which was one of the things one of the ways I look at my work is I look at my work as I'm an abstract social realist, which is another twist of terms. How can something be social realist and be abstract? But so I look at real things in the world. And so this one set of work I did was a sculptural rendering of dots of light on my wall in the morning that was created from the sunrise moving through shades, window shades. And I created voluminous forms of, that rendered this light, much in the same way that Brancusi rendered the shadow of a pigeon when he did, A Bird in Flight. Or that's my conclusion anyway about that piece. And these dots of wall on the light as a sculpture looked like the language of Morse code, dot, dot, dash, sort of a language. And so I've tried to render, Morse code in a sculptural form as well, creating dots, creating dashes that can articulate, a language. And, it's kind of funny as I think of art as a language, and I'm working with rendering Morse code as a language. It's funny because Morse code they consider now a dead language because it's no longer used by any practical, terms, because other things have replaced it. But it is interesting as a form to work with. I work with, in terms of process, the creative stuff happens with both the early design work, then how you produce a form on a wheel or hand-built, and then there's a certain creativity that goes into how it's glazed. And then once it's glazed, it becomes an object, a ceramic object. And ceramic objects are they're interested in the bottom, the foot, and how it sits. But the whole avenue of sculpture has really to do, the meaning of a sculpture has as much to do with how the object sits in space, and the highest form of sculpture is really how it sits in terms of placement in terms of public or siting. And so all of that becomes a creative moment in how I work with my work and how I develop the content within the projects.